over to my really good friend, Anna. I cannot wait for you to meet her. I have known Anna since we were I came home from work one day when I was about 18 to my mother. And as they did in those days, she said to me, I have an interview for you tomorrow morning. You are going to the Long Mile Road, and there's an interview for you I've arranged. And I went along to this interview in the laboratory, a film company actually as well, and a laboratory. And this wonderful woman interviewed me, and she was just the most delightful person, and she made me completely at ease to begin with. The funny thing was, she was, you know, her questions were fascinating for an interview. One of them was, what are you most proud of? I mean, any question of, you know, how did I do on my leaving cert, or, you know, what are my experiences, or what can I bring to this, were out the window. She asked all of the kinds of questions that I just loved answering, and we got on like a house on fire, and we had been friends ever since, but with a break in the middle. And we talk about that later on, because it was really quite magical the way we come back together into each other's lives. Anyway, ladies, I'm thrilled for you to meet Anna Walker, actress, drama coach, festivals adjudicator. Come and say hello, Anna.
Hi guys, I hope you're all well. God, what can I say after that fantastic introduction, except thank you so much. So Trina said if I was just to maybe just give you a little bit of general information about myself. So I'm going to talk about myself from being a child until this great age now. So as a child, I was very quiet and introverted, the eldest of four. And my dad was a bus conductor, and there was a girl in his bus called Anne Kavanagh who was training to be a drama teacher. And he said to her one day, he said, Anne, he said, my eldest is terribly, terribly quiet. I'm very worried about her. And she said, send her to me, send her to drama. And I guarantee you, Terry, that'll make a difference. So from the age of 10, I wouldn't speak outside the family home up until the age of 10 when I was sent to drama. And I absolutely hated it. I truly despised it. I just felt so out of my comfort zone. I didn't have the words to articulate that at the time, but I really did. I just felt awful. And when you do something like an improvisation, which is, you know, you're given a title and you work around that, you make a little play, I was always an animal, because therefore I didn't have to speak. But after about a year and a half, Anne started to push me, and she said, now just let's start to say a sentence or say two sentences. And these other girls and boys had been at drama for a very long time, it seemed to me at the time. They probably started when they were 5, and I felt like I'm too old for all of this, you know. But anyway, what happened was I used to do feshes, Fesh Matthew, and I was always, if I was given a poem to do, say, I would always be able to visualize the poem in my head. And suddenly I started to win prizes, and then I began to act. And I slowly and surely gained confidence and an absolute pure passion for drama. So then I went to drama all the time. I was still doing Fesh when I was 22. I met Trina when I was probably about 20. And I worked for Rank Film Libraries, and Trina was running the whole show for Hodges Laboratories and the film library and all of that stuff. And we got on like a house on fire. And Trina was actually my bridesmaid when I got married. So anyway, I'm still working, but I decide then, so about 25, 26, I'm now acting. I'm acting with an amateur group of players called the Living Players in Dublin. I adored my time with them. We won everything. We won for All Irelands, we won Best Actresses, Best Plays, everything. We were a good old team, and we had such crack. They were pure wild, and I wasn't, and I loved all of that. I really, really loved it. But then when I was, at 29, I did my first teaching diploma, and then I had studied accountancy, was now working for a new company. But rather than stay, I had my first daughter, 29, and then I said I'm going to open up my own drama school, and I did, and that's over 35 years ago. So, drama has made me really who I am. When in 2004, I did lots of exams and diplomas and everything else like that. But then I went to UCD in 2004 and did my master's in drama. And then I was also an examiner for the Royal Irish Academy of Music, the drama division. And I was that for about 9 years. And then I became the senior drama examiner there for 7 years. And that finished the January before COVID. So that was 2020. I adjudicate throughout the whole country. I've done 4 All-Irelands, the last one being 2 years ago. And I'm due to do another one in 2 more years' time. And I travel around the country viewing 3-act plays that have been put on by all these incredibly, wonderfully talented amateur drama groups throughout the country. I've also worked with the ladies incarcerated in Mountjoy, in the Doka Centre, and I have worked with drug addicts up in Tala. Wrote a play called Rinka, which was set around the disparate world of drugs and Irish dancing, and that's really me. I'm a mum. I've got 2 daughters, and I suppose over the years I've seen the benefit of young children going to drama classes and drama schools. But the amount of women, especially, who said to me, "Good God, I really and truly wish I had the chance to do something like that." And then I started thinking about, well, actually, isn't it that we give everything I think we have to our family? And I think sometimes we just forget about ourselves. And the thing about drama is that you can achieve confidence at any age. And drama, to my mind, just allows you to open that door. With regard to confidence. Of course, it is also the most imaginative, creative force. What I always say is, when you get sick of being yourself, the psychological freedom you have of becoming somebody else, of being a character, you learn to see issues from other people's perspectives. Your quality of observation goes through the roof. I always remember when I was going to work in town, I used to get the bus in, and I'd sit on the bus in the same seat, and I would watch people going by, and I would give them a life, my imaginative world, I would give them a life as they were going by. And then when I got characters, when I started to act, I then would either, if there was somebody, say, within my group that I think, oh God, they have the same traits as somebody I'm playing, say Hedda Gabler or something like that, or any character, doesn't matter who. My God, and I would watch people, I would watch how they walk, I would watch how they move, I'd watch how they talk, I'd listen to the cadences of their voices. And I think one of the best stories I've ever heard about observational drama, or an actress observing other people, is this. Brenda Fricker, in My Left Foot, was cast as the mother of Christy Brown. And something has happened here.
You're okay. You're still there. I don't know.
Sorry. Anyway, she was playing obviously Christy's mother, and she was obviously a poverty-stricken woman. So what Brenda decided to do was that every evening that she would go down to Moore Street, but she wouldn't go in the morning when the produce was fresh and relatively expensive in her eyes. She would go in the evening when it was all the bruised and the battered fruit and vegetables. So she stood at the corner. There used to be a jeweller's on that particular corner, the Henry Street, Moore Street. She stood there and she watched the women trudge down Moore Street, looking for cheap veg and fruit, and then trudging home again. And when it came to the physicality of her character, she absolutely took that on board. And if you're interested in acting, this is one of the things you learn to get into other people's heads, which is into your characters' heads, which is absolutely so important. And then if you think about it, the quality of mindfulness you have then, you're not worrying about what you have to do at home or outside of home or with a family member, with one of your children, worrying about whatever might be going on in your life. You can come out of it and you can be that person. Obviously, there's a part of you in that person, but you allow that person then you become that person. And when I see the growth and the development of students, and the feel, and sometimes if you're interested in going to the theatre and you go to the theatre and you go, God, how do they create this magic? That's what I would like to share with you, is how people create it. You're going to look at your physical body, you're going to look at your voice, you're going to look at movement. We are going to be making up our own duologues, monologues, working together, incredible collegiality, because that's what it's all about. And it's all about as well supporting each other, which is absolutely vital in a very, very safe space. So you're going to embrace the other. You're going to embrace whatever sort of character or world you want to. And we use the word play. And I've used the word wings in this because I think that drama gives you wings. And maybe for a very long time, you've been waiting in the wings. So we can now, I think, start to engage with that together. And it doesn't, I don't expect, if you have experience, brilliant. If you've no experience, brilliant. This is, we're all in this together. And I'd like to bring you forward over, we said, about 8 weeks, just to give you an introduction to acting and an introduction to theatre in general.
I love that you're doing this, and I love also that you're talking about, you know, your own story is really important in all of this, Anna. Forgive me for interrupting you, because I have a memory of you were learning many years ago when we were working together. You were actually learning a part, and I think it was a Dylan Thomas play. So
that's right.
You remember this?
I do, yeah.
I can remember Anna going around going, the only way I can remember the Welsh accent, now you'd every method, and every conversation we had was done in a Welsh accent. And she said, I slip into it by saying Dylan Thomas. And it was when you
That's right.
I had no idea. And so we all spent a few weeks speaking in Welsh accents around.
Yeah. I love doing it.
That part of it is so fascinating. There's something else about you that I found fascinating too, Anna, and that was because I want to come back to what you mentioned there about wings, but I want to go back a little bit to more of what you have been doing up until now, because one of the things that you said to me when we were talking one day was about how you prepare for the festivals. And how you, I mean, Anna doesn't walk in and sit down and be amused and entertained by the 3 one-act plays or 5 one-act plays or whatever it is, or 3-act plays. You get all of the books and you study them through. And one of the things you said to me was, and I'd love you to tell us a little bit more, but what I want to remind you of what you said is that each of the people in those plays that Anna is adjudicating, regardless of their character, their talent, their ability, or whatever else, has put every part of themselves into that over a great period of time. Anna turns up on the night and then views it. And so what she has to say and how you adjudicate it and your review of their work is so vital to them that you have to put all the work in beforehand. You can't just turn up.
Yeah, I do actually. Funny, I'm doing a festival down, a weekend festival over the October bank holiday weekend, and it's 9 one-act plays. I've got 2 of them here, just right here. I was researching them this evening. So what happens is in the amateur drama world, an adjudicator comes down and she watches the work. And I'll just talk about 1-acts for the moment. It's the same with 3-acts, but 3-act I only see 1 play a night. But with the 1-acts, I see 3 plays a night. So what I do is the group send me their plays. The festival actually sends me the plays and I read them. And then I go online and I read all the reviews of them. I then read around the social economic time it was. We'll do a little bit of history sort of searching as well and read up totally on the author. YouTube is brilliant for having. I watched. I'm doing a play called. Oh God, what's the name? It's gone from me now. Anyway, anyway, it's here somewhere. But I was researching it the other day, and an interview with the author came up, and I watched. It was on Sunday, right? And I had the dinner on and I was in the kitchen. I was in the house of my own and I was watching the interview. And I said to myself, after 20 minutes, I put the potatoes into the oven. Potatoes were never roasted. I totally forgot about them. I get totally caught up. It's so fascinating to learn about the process of how the author got his idea for the play. And then, so I read the play, I've read all the reviews. Then what I do is what you call is block the play. I break it down into sections. So I know what energy or what I feel is needed throughout it. And then I break down the characters. But of course, for a lot of these people, some of them are old hands at it. Some of them, they've never acted before. Now, I remember when I was on stage as an Olympian in the amateur drama world, before I actually did this professional work, I remember, and it was always men with dicky bows, and they would be there pontificating. And like, it was grand for me because I was decent at what I did. But for some other people, it was absolutely, frankly, scandalous. But they were the times that we lived in. And it was appalling. And when I became an adjudicator, I said to myself, it's not in me anyway to do it, but I always find a plus. I always find something positive to say, and then say, and you know what, you could perhaps work on this and have a word with the director. So then I do all of that. And then so therefore a play is like a director's baby. Mm-hmm. This director might have wanted to do this play for 8 years, might have researched so much about it. I have to come, and whatever judgment I make, I have to be able to stand over it and explain why. It's a bit like when I did my master's. That's how I really sort of, this adjudicating thing is something I really love, because I have the rigor of it because of the particular masters that I did in drama in UCD. So it's a very big commitment.
Anna, so go back to that, because you were, a busy mom, you were working, you had a career anyway, and then you decided to go back to do your master's.
I did.
How did you arrange it to start with, and how did that work out for you?
Well, serendipity. I was in the Tivoli Theatre at a Father Matthew Fesh, and I met a teacher I used to know years ago called Audrey Bean, who now lives in Naas, and whom I went to a play with on Saturday afternoon in the Civic. And she said to me, why don't you do your master's? And I said, I just don't think I'm bright enough to do the master's. I love drama, but I don't think I'm bright enough to do a master's. And she said, don't be so stupid. And I came home, and my eldest daughter was in 5th year at the time. No, she was going into 5th year. She just finished transition year. And I said to myself, if I don't do it now, do you know what? I'll bloody never do it. So I applied the next day. So I was totally then taken with it, desperately enthusiastic. And the following Wednesday, I went in and met Dr. Joseph Long in UCD, and he said to me, yes, he said, the diplomas that you have and your experience and your knowledge, please come in and do it with us. And I chose a play. I chose the work I did was the relationships between mothers and daughters through the prism of 2 Irish plays. That's what I did. So as a mother, I learned a huge amount of stuff as a mother. And then, because it was the psychology of the mother-daughter relationship. And then, so when you go into UCD, right was psychology, straight ahead was drama. I used to go right more than I ever went, because I had a good old feeling for drama, but I knew very little about psychology. And so it was a very, very tough year. And I'd say by the end of it, I know I was totally burnt out. I mean, we went on holiday in August. I remember that. Went to Nerca, myself, Terry, and the girls, and I cried for a week full. And I'm not really, now I twinge at stuff on the telly, but I'm not a crier as such. I cried like a baby. I was exhausted.
Did you ever regret it then, or was that
never? Never, because I wouldn't have got senior drama examiner in the Royal Irish Academy if I needed to have that. I need to have them. Look, a piece of paper can mean a lot, and that's actually what's up there on the wall behind me, because this is my office. So I was, and you know something, I think the pride of my parents, that totally, and Usher and my family, that really blew me away. Like, especially my parents, they were so proud. They were so proud. So no, I think it was one of the best educational decisions I've ever made. And I got offered the chance to do a PhD actually, but I decided not to. It wasn't for me. I would have had to, too much would have had to stop for too long.
Tell me about how did you begin working with the women in Docus in Mountjoy? How did that?
Well, I was teaching
for them. Yes, come on.
I was teaching a student, and her mum was in charge of, or had something to do with prison services, and she was working in the educational unit. And she said to me, "Good God, Anna, these girls would need it. So would you try?" No, I'd never, thankfully, been a Joy before. And I was fairly taken aback by it. I really and truly was. And Docus is a centre where they have these little houses and they can all go into each other's rooms and everything else like that. Whereas when the door closed and the door in front, it's a bit like going into a bank now, but it wasn't like that then. You know, the door closes behind you. You're stuck there in the middle before the next door opens. But it was a very, very challenging experience. Very challenging, because a lot of these women had never really had to be responsible for anything. There was a lot of, I was just flabbergasted. They weren't responsible for themselves in school. They weren't responsible for themselves outside their home. It was eye-opening. It was absolutely eye-opening. And I never felt in danger or anything like that. But they didn't, the vast majority of the girls and women could not commit to doing something twice a week for a year or whatever. They just could not commit to it. They were literally incapable. And what happens was then, but what I did was we wrote a play together, and a small, like a half a one act, and it was called Choices. And there was a big hurrah, and the governor came down at some stage at the end of the course and was giving out the certs to the girls. And there was about 7, I think, by the end, just 7 of them in it, but only 2 turned up to take the certs. The other 5 just remained in their rooms. Yeah, it just goes, no value, you see, on themselves. Just absolutely not.
Yes, yeah, and yet you never know. They may not have needed the cert still to just have learned something about themselves. Nope. That may yet come back to them. So tell me, what is your favorite kind of, do you have a favorite genre, because whenever we meet up for coffee, I start out with, have you seen anything new lately? And Anna starts telling me about these wonderful plays and films, and you talk about characters. I mean, I remember you watching Normal People and coming to me going, Trina, this is the most fantastic thing in your life. And so I did watch it, and it was very good.
Well, I know it wasn't for everybody.
It was Marmite, wasn't it? Yeah. But
it was.
Also pointed me in the direction. You have opened up so many doors. I don't know how many times I've left you and gone straight to Eason's and bought a play or bought a book or downloaded a movie and just been and seen it with totally new eyes, because you're able to do that. That's something that you do so wonderfully.
I wouldn't have a particular genre. I really, really like anything that's well done. But I suppose I need to, it must come from acting comes from a place of honesty, total and utter honesty. I cannot bear the jazz hands, the vocal. My eldest daughter lives in London. I go to London a lot, go to see a lot of theatre over there. But at this stage, I'm sometimes so sick of the vocal gymnastics that they do. It's not about that. I said to you, the power of becoming somebody else is immense. We're not talking about putting on a costume and pretending. We're talking about digging down deep, diving in and trying to find it. And I went to see a play up at the Civic on Saturday about Groucho Marx, and it was the actors. Ingrid Craigie played the female lead, and the two males. I don't know who they were, and I was so delighted, because there's a part of me that is sick. I used to, going to the gate. It's not as bad now, but dear God, at some stages, we're going to the gate and seeing the same old people in the same old things, or a version of them. It's like lazy directing. I love everything. I genuinely, I love children's films. I love children's theatre. I adore live theatre. I absolutely adore live theatre. I used to go every single Wednesday for a million years. I don't anymore, because I'm reading so many plays I will do 18 two festivals with 18 3-act plays in them next February and March, and the amount of research that goes into that is mighty. And to be honest, by the end of it, I don't want to see a play, I don't want to read a play, but the lead up to it is simply and utterly immense to find out. And the thing about it is, you know, plays are truer than history, because history is written by the victors. But if you think of the playwrights writing in of their time, like what's going to be said about the Ukraine now? It won't be, you know what I mean? It'll be truth that will come out. And that's what happens in theatre. Tom Murphy, and actually, if anybody can get a ticket to go to see Whistle in the Dark.
Yeah.
Joyce's Women, and it's on at the minute. Joyce's Women, but Whistle in the Dark is coming to the Peacock, and what a stellar cast. A hard play, but a stellar cast. Sit towards the back. But no, I just love theatre. I just find the energy that I get from it is rejuvenating.
And I'm fascinated with what you say, because you're so right. So many times you see things, little stories that go on in people's lives, and you think that would make a wonderful play. That would be fascinating. Watch. And what you're saying about, you know, even experiences that went on in homes behind doors during COVID and other things, there's something in it for everybody. One of the things, and the reason why we've come to where we are, and you mentioned Wings earlier, is because I found something really at first strange, and then began to almost expect it. And I was telling you about this, and what it is for everyone else is that I can remember a few, and this lady doesn't mind me mentioning it, because it's not too far off my own story. I wrote a blog a few years ago about a play I wrote when I was a child, or not a play I wrote, a play I was in school when I was a child, and I was showing the photographs to one of my daughters, and she said, "Oh, why don't you act now?" And this is about 10, 15 years ago. And she said, "Why don't you act now?" And I said, "Oh no, it's too late now." And I went off actually, and I did sign up for some acting classes, and I have to tell you, that needs to stay where it is. But what I was fascinated about was the number of roles for older women, actually. But the important thing was, anyway, that I came across a number of people, particularly during my workshops. One woman in particular stands out, and that was that one of the exercises we do in a workshop is very quickly we riff through people's favorites, you know, your favorite color, restaurant, food, book, writer, film, you know, and it allows people that opportunity to just start turning into themselves and almost allowing things bubble up from within them that relates to them and them only, their personal tastes and things that please them. And I had one lady in particular who couldn't come up with anything, nothing, because everything in her life had been decided for her by other people. Her parents would have been very strict, and they decided what college courses she'd take or what she was going to do for work after work. And then she married a man who was exactly like that, and she couldn't come up with anything. And so what we did was we went back to a time when she felt completely in charge and completely alive. And it happened to be when she was a girl in school, in her early teens, and she had a part to play in the school play. And she said to me, if I could feel the way I did when I sat in the chair before I went on stage, as the mums were putting on the makeup, and she said the smell of the makeup, and funnily enough, that was something I remember too. And she said, and the excitement in my tummy because I was about to go, that's what I want to feel every day. And I said, why don't you do that? Why don't you take up acting? And she was 63. And she said, "Oh, no, I'm far too old." And I said, "No, you're not far too old. Tomorrow, go home and have a look at what kinds of acting courses are available and start." And she did. And she signed up for acting courses, and she absolutely loved it. And when I tell her story to other people, and there was one other lady in particular not so long ago, and she had thought about what she should do, or the gift that she had that she felt would be of service to others. But it all felt clunky and heavy for her. It just didn't feel alive. And when she heard about that lady and the acting, she said, "But that's fun, that's play, that's actually what I want to do now." This particular lady is coming up to 70, and she wants to act now. COVID's over and that kind of thing. And there were a number of others as well. It's come up over and over and over again when people just sit across the table from me and go, I'd love to act. So so for everybody listening there, when I spoke with Anna about it, Anna said, this is something we have to do because it is a wonderful opportunity for people to explore all those, I mean, as you've quite rightly said, the roles that we play, we're moms, we're parents, we're daughters, we're wives, we're employers, employees, whatever else it is. We are all these roles, but what is it that you'd like to explore for yourselves? And that's really how you put it to me, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Wings, which I love. Explain why you came up with wings.
Well, I came up with wings because I think for me, it has certainly allowed me to fly within my life. And never mind me, because I'm only one small person. It's over the years, so I've been teaching 35 years. I've seen the difference that it can make. It is absolutely, simply unbelievable. And then I thought, as I said earlier, about us maybe getting older, waiting in the wings, waiting for something. And if you've never acted, there's this, as I said, this magical freedom that comes with it without judgment. Because in a scenario like Wings, nobody's judging. We're all there together doing this. There's no adjudicator going to come in and say, well, actually, too much profile, find the heart, vary the speech. There's none of that. We're going to learn about it because I know about it. I'm going to talk about it and teach it. But we're going to be, but not be us. We're going to be other. And isn't that what wings are? They allow you, to fly. And for me, because I was thinking, because Trina said to me, we'll come up with a name for it. And I said, yeah, right. Hoping to God Trina's going to come up with a name for it. And so I was thinking, and I am the ultimate anal list maker. I have lists for everything. You should see the desk. It's ridiculous. However, so then I was making the lists and I had other words and I wanted it short and snappy. But I just kept coming back to wings because I just think they're, as well as that, wings are magical things, aren't they?
About them all the time, and we throw one of the things that came to mind as soon as you said it, that sense of I think it was Amy Cuddy when she did her presence talks about how when people achieve something, they literally they have a primal bingo wings, a primal instinct, throw our arms out as though we have wings. It's our sense of totally in our zone and being completely and utterly alive. We talk here all the time about wings because we're so into angels and all the rest of it. And one of the other things about what you're talking about is that we say to people, be the thing you wish to be that what you want to see, act as if it's already here. And oftentimes people have, that's all very fine if you have an ability to see things visually, but if you don't, then allowing people the opportunity to develop the imagination to become what it is that they wish, just to let somebody in there, to become that is another part of this, and to explore, you said this already, to explore and develop the other ways of being.
Yes, but there is such fun in being a right roaring rip if you want to be. There is such fun in becoming somebody who's watchful. There's such fun in becoming somebody who's having an affair with somebody else's husband. There's such fun in being that and yet not being that. So that's the thing. And through that, we learn about ourselves. We learn. And if you're to study plays or replays or whatever else, you will read about another person's psychology. You will read about how they dealt with things. And what this does, I think, is broaden your mind. So we're not just going down, this is how Anna does it. We learn from other people, don't we? And it's the same thing with drama. You learn from characters that you read about, or you can imbue them with something else, something quite profound, actually.
Coming from yourself. And you just said it as well, one of the things that keep us thriving throughout life, but especially at midlife and beyond, is learning something new and what could be more freeing than this? The other part of it is that in learning to act or working a drama is that you have to allow your imagination to free up, but you also have to learn things like lines and that kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
and that is really a great sort of cognitive and developing skills to make sure that you're, that you're maintaining that.
Oh, 100%. It absolutely is. And I actually stopped, I stopped acting a while ago, and I came back to something fairly recently, just a small piece but it actually, even though I know about all of this, it actually took me a while to learn the lines. And I would do a crossword, do the New York Times thing every day. I do all of those things. I read a poem every day. So, I mean, and I remember a lot of them, but with the lines, it was just something. So I just said to myself, this is really good. I've got to keep on this. So exactly, as you say, your cognitive.
So a bit like, and I often heard people before saying that, oh, that our writing disimproves with age, it declines with age. It doesn't actually, because I write every single day and my script is the same as it was when I was 15 at school, but it was hopeless before I started writing every day, handwriting. And it is exactly the same, as you said, with learning something new. So what we actually have, Anna, is Anna and I have developed something that's a little bit different. So it's going to be acting with a dash of woo, because Anna has all of the incredible modules that builds on those skills that you were talking about, and you carefully bring people through, because as you quite rightly said, the psychology is quite a part of it, and freeing it up is very carefully nurture the way through that. From my point of view, what I will be doing is also working on, and this is a self-care. This is going to be a process, and it will be a magical process. I mean, something as simple as the fact that actors seemingly keep beautiful citrines with them, because it helps support or align with the yeah, and we're going to be looking at things like that, sort of the magical elements of learning to act. You won't be learning any acting from me, let me just say that, but I'll definitely be there as very much a part of the whole process of becoming the sort of vibrant, alive, very imaginative, creative, expressive part of who you really are, and exploring, so when we say things like act as if, be the person you want to be, exploring all of that as carefully and as freely as you want to, with as much fun as you like, with people who are, as Anna said, supportive, a part of a community where you are a valued member of that community.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Thanks, Anna. Well, look, Wings starts on Wednesday week, that's tomorrow week, at 10:30 in the United Arts Club. It will run for 8 weeks. It's 2 hours a week, so we'd finish at about 12:30. I am convinced of something, that anyone who does start this course will be a different person at the end of it. And I don't mean that you need to change your personality. I just mean that your mind will be so broadened. You'll have developed so many new skills. You'll have made many new friends. And I have to tell you, Anna's presence is just joyous and vibrant. And she has had a whole day's work and college and all kinds of things today. And she's still able to sit there and talk to us so bright and cheerfully about what she's doing. So we have a special fee as well for members of the Tuesday Night Club and for the Wise and Ageless Goddesses, because the fee for the 8-week course generally will be €350, but for members of the Tuesday Night Club and Wise and Ageless Goddess unit our community is €275, beginning tomorrow week, 8 weeks course, and I think there might be a couple of Wednesdays in the middle that might well be there's
a midterm break, isn't there, in the middle of it somewhere, so it mightn't suit to go.
We'll sort all of that out. Yeah. So my website is down, as I said to most of you in the beginning, and I am hoping to have that up and running. But my number, I'm going to put it in the chat box, is so that if anybody wants any, excuse me, I want to get out of that to everyone. Isn't that what I put there? Yeah, I'm going to put my email address in here, which you have anyway. So that's Trina at, that's not right, at iCloud.com, or I might ask her, Trina at iCloud.com. That's my email address, and my phone number is 087 2625 071. So you can call me or email me or text me and ask for and I'll give you all of the details. And as soon as my website is up and running, I will put more details up on that so you can have a look at it there. So what else did I want to say about that? I think that's all for the moment. Anna, do you want to share?
I just think the last thing I'd like to say very, very, very quickly is that when we're speaking about play, so we're speaking about finding that part of ourselves that is joyous, that when we were young, we could play, you know. Unfortunately now I teach children as well, and unfortunately now you don't really see that. It's very, very difficult. But I think for adults, I remember I was doing a play in Androzane at the time, and it was the time of the Twin Tower collapse. And we were inside rehearsing on the stage. And Arthur Reardon was in the play, and he came out and he said, something terrible has happened in the world. And just before he said it, I remember thinking to myself, I feel like a child again. And just before that, and then of course the world came crashing down. But that is what you get from it. That freedom, that unself-consciousness about playing. So
I love you said that, because in fact, and I might have mentioned to you, my little grandchild was with me the other day, and we were talking about my husband who teaches art, and I said to her, now you can ask him to show you how to draw a cat. And she said, oh, I don't need to ask him, I'm a brilliant artist. And I thought, yes, I mean, from a 4-year-old. And so can we get back to that wonderful faith in ourselves again? I think that's so important, because children have the most incredibly highly developed, not even highly developed because they're born with it, they don't develop it, they bring it, intuition and an understanding of who they are and how to move through the world. And we lose it obviously as we learn to please and just get by, I suppose, is what most of us end up doing. But that playing is exactly how we get back to that childlike, intuitive movement through the world. And I think that's something that's really exciting. I am so excited about this. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to just getting it going and coming back with news of how it's working out for everyone. And so that's something I'm really looking forward to. We must have slipped away from each other for about 25 years, maybe more. And about 10 years ago about, I was out walking one day, and I was thinking of Anna, as I had often done through the years, and thinking about where she is. And I clearly heard the words, ring her. And I came back and I found your number. I have no idea how, because I didn't even find you on Facebook. And I sent you a text, and you know, anybody there who knows an old friend that you get in touch with after many years, it was as though the years had never fallen away, that we had only spoken to each other every day. It was just awesome.
And I was actually adjudicating a festival in Tubbercurry, I remember, at the time, and I'd done my little walk, and I came, and then the phone rang. I couldn't believe it. So there you go, serendipity.
Oh, so a message to everyone there is, if there's anybody you want to reconnect with that you knew from years ago, message now. This is your sign, go do it, because you use the term synchronicity. And we have 3 cards, Anna, and here's what we do. And those of you who would like to pick and who know what we do here, you can pick a number 1, 2, or 3. And I have picked 3 cards earlier on this evening, just because it just makes it easier for me. And these are for you, and take all 3 of them if you wish, or any one of them. But if you'd like to choose now 1, 2, or 3, you can stick it in the chat box, or just know it in your own head. It's okay. And I will. Maura's got 2 up already. Thank you, Maura. If you want to pick 1, 2, or 3, and I will just read out what those messages on those angel cards is. It's from the Kyle Gray Angel Prayers deck. I haven't got it beside me. It's over across the room. And so, if you're all ready, card number 1. The card number 1 is, don't hate, meditate. I don't know if you can see that in the light. It's quite bright. Don't hate, meditate. And the message on that is, thank you, angels, for guiding me to love through meditation. And what we're talking about there is, sometimes it's wise to step back from frustration or anger. I had that day today. This card was definitely for me. Don't hate, meditate. I hated technology. I hated my computer. I hated anything that wasn't working for me. And I was getting more and more frustrated. And the energy of that frustration was blocking everything that I could possibly do, and only compounding the whole thing. The whole thing, this message is to step back. Step back if you feel yourself being drawn back into old wounds and old thoughts, things that hold you back and block you from moving forward, and meditate and allow what it is coming through to you. So what it's saying is, don't hate meditate. Don't hate your job, your responsibilities, the effects of old wounds and inherited thinking or opinions. We can hate our environment. And what it is saying is focus on something you love. And then choose to work on that. Sit in nature, journal, walk, do a little yoga or qigong, and wait for your still, quiet voice of wisdom to speak. So when you find yourself becoming anxious and frustrated, sit back, meditate, choose a meditative practice of some sort, and allow your own still, quiet voice to come through. I could have done with listening to that myself earlier on today. And so I'm really glad that that card came up. So that was one for me. Now, card number 2, manifesting miracles, Archangel Orion. And he's saying, thank you, Orion, for manifesting your miracles in my world. It's quite an interesting one. Orion being very much a cosmic effect on our lives. Archangel Orion, it's a very special card. I'll just hold it up again for those of you who couldn't see it properly. Miracles can occur naturally, but when it feels stuck or heavy, it's a message to align your energy with the blessings that you wish to manifest. So in other words, whatever it is that you want to bring into your life, if it feels that it's a little bit like for me earlier, that it was heavy and stuck and not working and not in flow, then it means that I must align my energy with what it is that I want. So if I want peace and tranquility, if I want ease, if I want to bring in more love, more abundance, whatever it is, to align myself with that energy and allow those blessings come to us. So the message is, what do you want to happen now? Is it aligned with love and higher wisdom? Once it's aligned with love and higher wisdom, then you have the ability to create that. That is your miracle card there. That's another one for me. Maybe all 3 of them are for me today. And the third one, synchronicity, Anna's great words that she used earlier on today. Thank you, angels. I trust your well-timed guidance and signs. And this is quite interesting, because what it's actually saying to us is there are no coincidences in life, and everything is perfectly timed. Trust that your angels are guiding you with the path that is opening up before you and the people who are coming into your life at present. There are signs and messages coming through to you at present, and these are showing up now as guidance to help you open up new paths and new directions. Trust that what you're seeing is guidance. And actually, one of the things that I often feel with that synchronicity card as well is that when you're dreaming, that if you are open, if you ask as you go to sleep for a sign or a message or guidance in something or other, when you waken in the morning, allow yourself go back to that question and see what turns up for you. Keep a little journal diary beside your bed and make a note of what you're dreaming of. And sometimes over a period of nights, a pattern will show up. And then, have a look at how you feel about what's showing up there. Anyway, those are your 3 cards. Don't hate, meditate, card number 1, manifesting miracles, Archangel Orion, cosmic guidance and aligning with the energy of what it is you want to manifest in your life. And synchronicity, know that what you're being shown is that new people are turning up in your life to show you the way. New opportunities are opening up and paths are opening up for you so that you can explore new things, new opportunities. Okay. Anybody have any questions? I'm just going back to something. Oh, so somebody was saying they couldn't stay. The venue is the United Arts Club. That is in Dublin in Fitzwilliam Street. And those of you. So look, everybody, thank you. Katie, that was fantastic. You're welcome. Anna, it was an absolute pleasure to meet you this evening.
Trina, thanks a million.
So much for coming and bringing all of that lovely. I love hearing about it and that kind of thing. So thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you so much more.
See you soon.
Take care, darling. Okay, thank you, Anna. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.